Do you know the conference? Do you know the name of the conference?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was going to let you say it. It's the MAC-WAC All-American.
Mid-America. Yeah.
Oh, hold on to your turkey leftovers because it's the Man in Black podcast here. In fact, you should already have finished your Thanksgiving leftovers by now. Have you finished all of your Thanksgiving leftovers, Todd?
Well, unfortunately, I couldn't bring my leftovers on the plane with me back from Ohio, so I had to leave them in Canton. But I made sure I had 3 helpings. I went through the line 3 times on Thursday, so I'm shocked that I did not fall asleep, just pass out on my drive from Canton to Detroit that night. But I had enough of my turkey and Thanksgiving meal on Thursday.
Yeah, that's good. 3 times. I'm proud of you. That's a solid amount of times. I only did 2 times, but we had leftovers for like 4 days. I just finished them yesterday. Great Thanksgiving. And you were up in Detroit because you had a football game, Penn State, Michigan State, right?
I did, yeah.
Big win for the Nittany Lions there.
Yeah, they did. It was a good win for them. They finished their season with another 10-win season. It was probably the best that their offense has looked maybe all year. I mean, the most complete performance by their team. The defense has been great all year. Elite level defense. Offense has been kind of up and down, but they ran the ball very well. Both backs had over 100 yards. Drew Aller had a big game, played really well. So a good way for them to finish the regular season.
Yeah. Amazing weekend of college football. Some great finishes, wild finishes, crazy stuff happening. You and I did our picks last week, and we are both proud to announce that we each finished 13-2. In our picks last week, which is pretty good. I mean, I can't do math. I don't know what the percentage is there, but
that's pretty high. It's pretty good.
It's a high percentage.
Yeah.
And I believe the 2 that you missed Ohio State and Michigan. You picked Ohio State, and you missed Iowa and Nebraska. You had picked Nebraska. And then I missed Louisville and Kentucky. Kentucky beat Louisville, a big upset there. And I missed Florida and Florida State. Thinking Florida might get the upset, which it was close. Boy, close game. So, give us your thoughts on this past weekend's happenings.
Yeah, so first of all, let's start with the biggest one, the Ohio State-Michigan game. What a great football game. I actually watched it twice because I watched it live. I left my hotel in Detroit early enough on Saturday morning to drive home, to be sitting in a chair at 11:30, well before the game came on. Watched the game, loved it. And then my dad, who I wanted to watch it with also, he went to see my nephew play. He's a tight end for Kent State. So he wanted to go to Kent's last game. It was, my nephew's last time playing. And so he taped the Ohio State-Michigan game and wanted to watch it when he got home. So I went over to his house and watched the second time with him, but I was not allowed to say anything because he did not know what the outcome was. So I had to just sit there and no facial expressions, poker face the whole time.
So he didn't know the game with him. He didn't know what happened. He was watching like it was for the first time.
Yeah, but now, let me tell you this story before I get into my breakdown of the game, because this is perfect for my dad. My dad is technology. I'm poor with technology. He is Stone Age. Okay. So anyway, he records the game. He records lots of stuff, but he records the game. And as soon as I walk in the house, he's already got it on. And he's like, I don't want to hear anything. Don't send me anything. I want nothing about the game. Now, I find it hard to believe, first of all, that as he's sitting in the stands at the Kent State Northern Illinois game on Saturday at the same time, that they're not giving the score to whoever was at that game. But, all right.
Maybe he was just like, la, 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 every time they came. Yeah,
maybe so. He didn't know. So he kept saying, don't tell me anything. All right, I won't say anything, Dad. All right. So at one point, late in the second quarter, the only thing I said, Dad, the only thing I'm going to say is this really is one heck of a football game. So, Dad, I don't want to hear any more. You're already telling me that Ohio State's coming back in this game. I don't want to hear any more. Okay. Mum's the word. So now we get to the point of the game in Michigan's last drive. They're eating up the clock. They're setting up their last field goal to make it 30-24. They're lining up for the field goal, and my dad's recording ends. Okay.
Oh.
So now he's fiddling around with his remote. I know I got it taped, the rest of it taped somewhere else. He hits live, and it comes onto a live shot, and all the fans at Michigan are on the field. So now he's been told that Michigan won the game just by what's on the TV. So it's like, well, I don't know if they won 30-24, 30-27. Okay. So he goes back and he finds it, and we watch the rest of the game. But we sat there for 3 hours not saying a word so he wouldn't spoil the outcome, and then he spoiled it for himself. So whatever.
You had to act surprised with each play. Oh, wow. That was great. Ooh.
Yeah. I wonder how this review is going to go. This
yeah. Well, did you see that there's a video on social media of these guys watching the Alabama-Auburn game? They were Alabama fans. They're all gathered around, and right when Milroe dropped back for that final pass, they got the little spinny circle thing on the TV. It was paused like that, and then they were all like, "What?" Like just waiting. And when it came back, Alabama was celebrating in the end zone, and they were like, but they didn't even get to see it. Yeah,
right.
Man. All right, so I have to.
All right, so let's go back. Let's
give me the breakdown.
First of all, incredible football game. It's been kind of a blowout, a one-sided game the last 2 years that Michigan won. Yeah. This year was close. Ohio State got down 14-3. They fought their way back. At one point in the third quarter, they tied it up 17-17. Big plays by both teams, both defenses playing well. But at the end of the day, it was kind of the same thing for Michigan. They were a little bit better at the line of scrimmage, particularly in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. This game, I think maybe 20 of the last 21 games, the team that has won the rushing battle has won the game. And Michigan outrushed Ohio State in this game, not by as much as they'd done in previous games. This one was like 165 to 110 or something like that, but they still had an upper hand. And the other thing that was the difference in the game, Michigan won the turnover battle 2-0. Okay. 2 costly interceptions by Kyle McCord. The first one gave Michigan a short field, led to the touchdown, the first touchdown of the game. The last one obviously ended the game. And I don't blame him for the last one because he got hit right as he was throwing it. It was a great pass rush by Jalen Harrell to cause the ball to come out funny, and it was picked off. But a great football game, and I don't think you can say enough about Sharon Moore and the job he did in all 3 weeks, but in particular this game, because he made some brilliant decisions in this game. He went for it on fourth down 3 times. He called a halfback pass in the fourth quarter. He put a backup quarterback in to run design quarterback run for 20 yards. Really made some outstanding calls throughout the game. And, J.J. McCarthy, who had not been 100% healthy the 2 weeks before, played a very solid game, very accurate throwing the football. I mean, the touchdown throw he made to Roman Wilson, he just fit a ball in between.
Oh, my gosh.
Defenders, an unbelievable throw.
That was one of the best throws I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
That was, I literally paused the TV and called my wife, who cares nothing about this game at all. And I was like, you have to see this. And I made her watch the replay of it. And even she was like, whoa, how did he get it in there? I was like, I don't know. But,
and one of the points on that play that was not brought up in the broadcast, I don't think, but the kid that was the safety, number 25, who the ball kind of went right by his ear, he is a true freshman. He's a really talented player, but he's had to play the last couple of weeks because their starting safety, who was a senior, who was a really good player, Ransom, got hurt. And the kid's very talented, but again, that was a huge moment, and he just was not in the right position, didn't have eyes on the ball, and that ball sailed right past him to Roman Wilson. It was still almost a great play by Denzel Burke in the end zone, almost resulted in an interception. Of course, they took a look at it, but incredible football game, great calls. Blake Corum, just showing his toughness. How about this moment, after Zach Zinter got hurt, really a terrible injury, and he's one of those seniors who came back, to try to win a championship, could have been in the NFL last year, and gets hurt. And the very next play, Blake Corum runs 22 yards for a touchdown and flashes up the 6'5" sign for 65 for his fallen teammate. So anyway,
love it.
Tremendous game. Now Michigan has won 3 in a row. Ryan Day, I'm sure he's still getting, a lot of heat, but he's a heck of a football coach. And I actually thought he called a good game. I mean, I thought that they were aggressive and creative, maybe could have gone for it on a couple fourth down situations. As he looks back, maybe he would do that differently, but his team was in position to win. But the reality is, he is now 1-3 against Michigan, and Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer combined, they only lost 1 game. They were 16-1 against Michigan. And for Ohio State people, that doesn't sit well, So, but it was an incredible football game to watch.
Yeah. Well, interesting, that I always ask the question when people start talking about coaches being in the hot seat, which I don't know if he's in the hot seat really, or if they're just aggravated. But I mean, who are you going to go get that's going to come be better than Ryan Day? I don't know. He's a really good coach. And eventually they'll beat Michigan. I mean, maybe it'll be next year. I mean, I don't think.
Well, but they had won. Ohio State had won 8 in a row before Michigan started this little run. So
exactly. So it's all right.
Yeah. They're going to be fine. Ohio State is still going to recruit, have great talent, and they're going to be in a great position to win the game next year. So
absolutely.
So anyway, but that game was incredible. Of course, the Alabama-Auburn game, the Iron Bowl, always a great game. And we were talking last week on our show. We were kind of making fun a little bit of Auburn losing to New Mexico State by 21. At home, but I said then there'll be a different team in the Iron Bowl. They'll come ready to play. It's a rivalry game. It means a lot. They'll show up, and they did. And up until a couple minutes or a minute and a half left, it looked like they were going to win the game.
Yeah,
it was amazing that Alabama was able to win that. That's from the Auburn sideline. That's snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Because I mean, 4th and 31, and they convert the play. It's amazing. I mean, first of all, Auburn decided to only rush 2 guys and force Milroe to stay in the pocket and make a throw. And there's only one spot that ball could go to. It had to go to the exact back corner of the end zone. Otherwise, it's not going to be complete. There's one spot this ball can go. And
how do you just rush 2 guys? I don't understand that.
Well, Jalen Milroe ran for over 100 yards in that game, so they had one guy that was as a spy just to kind of watch him, but it was 31 yards they needed. I mean, they still could have rushed and tackled him short of the goal line. That was just the decision that they made. But here's the crazy thing about this play and why the 4th and 31 was so incredible is, first of all, they had a 1st and goal at the 7.
Right.
Yeah. They went backwards 3 plays in a row. They had a bad snap. Jalen Milroe crossed the line of scrimmage. It was an illegal forward pass on 3rd down. So that's what backed them all the way back to the 31.
Yeah.
They were right inside the 10 on 1st down and went backwards and still were able to come through and make that play. And that the Iron Bowl has had their share of crazy plays. The kick 6, the punt, Bama punt. Whatever you want to. There's tons of them, right? This one, I don't know if they'd come up if it's the Milroe miracle or if they'd come up with a better name, but that was a pretty incredible moment.
I think they're calling it the mill throw.
Mill throw.
Somebody said, I don't know, but every Auburn fan just melted. I mean, it's almost like he dropped back and you almost see it coming. It's like there's no way that this is going to happen, but this is Alabama. Somehow it's going to happen. Somehow they're going to convert this. And they did. Those poor Auburn fans were just shocked because this was a year that they certainly were not expected to beat Alabama. They just lost to New Mexico State. They got 6 wins or whatever. So, Alexa, stop. Alexa plays Rocky Top every day at 5:00.
Now,
Alexa, stop.
We should say this about New Mexico State, okay? They finished their year 10-3.
Yeah, they're good.
They're playing in the Conference USA Championship game this weekend. So they had a great season.
Absolutely.
Jerry Kill. The other game that stood out to me, and it was so important to set up, a great game this weekend, but Washington in the Apple Cup beating Washington State on a walk-off field goal, 24-21. Grady Gross was the kicker. When he made the field goal, 42 yards to win the game in the locker room after the game, he got a scholarship awarded to him by Kalen DeBoer, and the post-game speech was incredible. But, we're staying on this theme of fourth downs, right? Michigan 3 for 3 on fourth down. 4th and 31 for Alabama. The fourth down play in the Washington game. Now, Evan, just hang on a second. Run it back and pause it. Let me set this play up first because it is worth setting up. So just leave it right there. So it's 4th and 1. If you can see, they're on their own 29-yard line.
Yeah.
The game is tied 21-21 at this point. There's 1 minute and 11 seconds left in the game. All right. Now,
this is a ballsy call, right?
Right. So first of all, he sent his punt team out first to go with a hard count to see if they could get him to jump offside and get a free penalty. Washington State didn't jump. So now he knows he wants to go for it, okay, in this part of the field, and he has this one play that he has saved for this moment. Now, this play is a triple option play. So Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback, has the option of handing it to the running back or keeping it himself, or the last play or option, and probably the most difficult to execute, is Rome Odunze, his top receiver, is coming in orbit motion behind him. He can turn and flip it to him as the third option. And that's what Michael Penix chooses to do. 4th and 1 from their own 29 with a minute left and a tie ball game. If this fails, Washington State's only got to run maybe one play, kick a field goal to win. And Washington's hopes of, playing in the Pac-12 championship, going to the college football playoff, all of that maybe goes up in smoke. Watch the execution on this play. It catches Washington State completely by surprise. It caught the camera people. Caught the camera guy. Surprised as well. I mean, it was an unbelievable call, and the execution of it was superb. So, that set up the winning field goal. Washington finishes the season undefeated. Now they go to Las Vegas to set up a rematch with Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game on Friday night, which is going to be an incredible, incredible football game.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And then that kick, they won with the field goal here. They won with Oregon missing the field goal earlier in the year. Right. Amazing finishes for Washington. And I just can't. I love that call. I can't believe that DeBoer was DeBoer.
Kalen DeBoer, yeah.
Kalen DeBoer, that's a gutsy call right there. And not only are you just going for it, the fact that you fake it, take the time to fake it, have your quarterback turn around,
turns his back to the defense,
turns his back, and then pitches it backwards to the guy coming around. Like that could have gone horribly wrong and fumbles and who knows what. But they executed it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. It was fun to watch. So
it's good stuff, man. What a great weekend. I'm excited about what's coming up in the conference championships this weekend. I got by the time this comes out, I will have released my Oregon versus Washington fan versus fan.
Good. That'll be video. Fun.
You'll like this one, I think. And so, we do a little segment every week called a Tip of the Cap, Hats Off. So let's get that going now. All right, you want to go first? Give me your.
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay. All right. Well, I'll do my team. Is that good? My team.
Yeah.
Team of the week is just it's. There's a lot to choose from. But I'm actually choosing Texas.
Okay.
Because they just. This is the game they expected to win against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, it was a hammering of a win by Texas. 57-7. Just crazy, and they just look so good in every facet of the game. Right now, they seem like they're a tough team to beat. I don't know that they can, not that they can't be beat, but they just look like a really good team. And I'm just impressed with the way they put a big exclamation point at the end of their season with the big win over Texas Tech. And they are making their statements about ability to be in the college football playoff. And congrats to those guys. So Texas, hats off. Well done.
Yeah. So my tip of the cap is going to one of the 5 remaining undefeated teams in college football that probably will have no chance of ever even getting close to the college football playoff. It's the Liberty Flames. They finished their year 12-0, the first time in school of program history that they were undefeated. Jamie Chadwell, as the first year as the head coach, came over from Coastal Carolina, took Hugh Freeze's place when Hugh went to Auburn, and Liberty finishes undefeated at 12-0, and that's hard to do. I don't care what conference you're in, what your schedule is. Now they'll play New Mexico State, who we were just talking about, in the Conference USA Championship game on Saturday. But congratulations to Jamie Chadwell and the Liberty Flames.
Yeah, big deal. It's very cool too. I got a mascot video coming for them too, because they're the Liberty Flames, but they got an eagle as their mascot. So let's go.
It's right down your alley. That's right in your wheelhouse. Yeah,
it's so easy. They make it so easy. 12-0. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't care who you are. That's impressive. So my tip of the cap, hats off for my player, is a guy that I have not really been able to give it to all year long, and I'm going to give it to him now, and that's Joe Milton, my buddy at the University of Tennessee. They played Vanderbilt, a rivalry game, because that's Tennessee's only in-state rival is Vanderbilt, so, just what you get, right? But really happy for him. He's caught a lot of flack from Tennessee fans this year, which I can't stand. I just get I realize that he's not Hendon Hooker, and that he's, but he's still a very good quarterback, and he's done a good job. He's led the team really well. He's a vocal leader. People trust him. They love him. And there's a reason why Josh Heupel is playing Joe Milton instead of Nico Iamaleava. I trust Josh Heupel. So I've been ranting to Tennessee fans this week and telling them they need to just chill out. 8-4 is a fine season, but Joe finished up with 383 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And so 6 total touchdowns. A great day. Sure, it was Vandy, but just proud of him for capping off his career at Tennessee on senior day in Neyland Stadium. So Joe Milton, the third tip of the cap, my friend.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, my tip of the cap, we've already talked about him. We've already talked about his most famous play of the day. My tip of the cap is Jalen Milroe. And again, we've talked about on the show his development, his improvement. As he has improved, so has Alabama's season. They've now won 10 straight since that loss to Texas, and they've looked really, really good at times. And he has played at a very high level, particularly here down in the second half of the season. But in this game, not only did he complete the 4th and 31, he was 16 of 24, 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he ran the ball. He was their leading rusher also, 18 carries, 107 yards. So he played extremely well, as he has most of this entire season. And his ability, his playmaking ability, gives Alabama a good chance in that SEC championship game against Georgia in Atlanta on Saturday night.
Absolutely. He put the offense on his back. I mean, he did most of the work there. Separately, I just want to know your opinion, being a former player and current expert, is, emotions run high in games like this. And so, you may have seen the video of him on the field after, when he's walking on, off the field, and he yells, "Give me that Heisman.
Yeah.
Give me that MRFer." Do you chalk that up to just he's excited, let him have it, whoop-de-doo? Or is it like, hey, buddy, you're being immature, you need to pull that back a little bit? Because, social media is a toxic place. You got people analyzing every single thing. So I'm curious what you think about that moment right there.
Well, I mean, that's a heat of the moment thing.
Sure.
I'm sure he didn't go into the game or come out of the locker room thinking, if I do this, if I complete a 4th and 31 for a touchdown and the cameras are on me after the game, I'm going to make my bid for the Heisman. So I mean, it's what came out. The thing that he probably remembered later is that, what, there's a quarterback in my same conference, on the same side of the conference as me, down in Baton Rouge, that's putting up ridiculous numbers, who has probably a better chance of winning the Heisman than I do. So, but it was a heat of the moment. It was an incredible win, right? I mean, it kept Alabama's college football playoff championship hopes alive, even though, I mean, all those teams, Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, 3 great football teams, but they all are going to need a lot of help here this weekend to have a chance to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always feel like I think we all should have grace with all these college athletes. I mean, these guys are 18 to 22 years old. You know, unless you're Bo Nix, you're 37. But most of the guys are normal ages, and they're still their kids, honestly. And who knows what I was saying and doing when I was his age. So I always try to give those guys some grace. I mean, they're just kids. So let's go to the rankings. We've got brand new rankings released this week, of course. The same, right? Nothing's changed. Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, they all won. Florida State could in fact have a tip of the cap, really, for their performance there in the Swamp. It's holding strong with their backup quarterback. Great job. So obviously the big thing here is that every team, the teams from 5 to 8, have a chance to get in there.
Yes,
based on what the teams in 1 through 4 do this coming weekend.
Yeah.
As it stands, Oregon, if one of these teams lose, Oregon's the first one in, more than likely. But like in my rankings, and this is probably, again, nobody cares about rankings, but I had dropped Ohio State back a little bit to 8. I had them at 8, which maybe not be fair, but I felt like head to head, I think Texas and Alabama would beat Ohio State if they were to play. So that's why I put them 8. But I think it's going to be, any of these teams could get in there, and
Well, here's the scenario there, and there's lots of scenarios, and so you're right. Those first 8 teams all still have a possibility. Now, I would say Ohio State has the hardest possibility because they would need more things to happen in front of them this weekend. Now, crazier things have happened. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's impossible, but they need the most help. What will make it the most chaotic and the most troublesome for the committee is if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game. Because if that happens, then I don't see how the committee would keep Georgia out of the college football playoff. And Alabama, as a one-loss SEC champion, would have to be in as well.
Yeah.
And if Michigan beats Iowa in the Big Ten championship, they're in for sure. So that would leave 3 teams potentially, fighting for that last spot. I mean, you're talking about potentially the winner of the Oregon-Washington game as the Pac-12 champion, which I think is a great bid for the college football playoff. Are you going to take a one-loss Pac-12 champion over a potentially undefeated Florida State team for that 4th spot? And in that case, Texas and Ohio State are really on the outside looking in. But that's really only if Alabama beats Georgia. If the ones that win this week that are supposed to win, Georgia wins, they're in. Michigan wins, they're in. If Florida State beats Louisville, I know that they've got a backup quarterback. I know that they don't have as impressive of a resume, but I don't know how you keep an undefeated Florida State team out of the college football playoff.
You can't.
And then I think the winner of the Pac-12 championship game is the other team that's in.
So if Oregon beats Washington, that Washington finishes 12-1.
Yeah.
But there's no scenario, most people think, in which Oregon and Washington can both get in.
Right? I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think 2 SEC teams at 1 loss would go in before 2 Pac-12 teams at 1 loss would go in.
Yeah. And at this point, there's no way that you can't let Georgia into this thing. No matter what happens on Saturday. I mean, I guess if they get trounced 56-0, you could maybe rethink it, but that's not going to happen. So it's just going to be crazy to see. I mean, things would have to happen. Florida State, if Florida State loses, I think they're certainly out. You've got Oregon in. Texas might have a shot if somebody else. I don't know. It's really fun doing this. It's so fun. But next year we won't have to worry about it. We're going to have a 12 team playoff, and if that was the case here, you would be at Oklahoma. You'd have Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Penn State, Missouri. I mean, that would be amazing to watch that unfold, those 12 teams.
Yep. We'll see how it goes next year, but it's going to be fun this weekend. Some major games, and then we'll find out on Sunday where everybody's headed.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to our matchups this weekend.
Yeah. Sure.
We've got conference championship games, and listen, we can talk about each one. You give your thoughts if you want, and then if you're still up for picking them, I've roped you in now. Why stop now?
Why not?
Yeah, why stop now? Okay, so let's go here to New Mexico State at Liberty. Liberty has a chance to go 13-0 here, which would be crazy. I think they do it. I think they do it. Give me the Flames. Light up the Flames, baby.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Flames as well. I'm going to
go. Second, Friday night, we've got Oregon and Washington Pac-12 championship, the last Pac-12 championship game, I guess ever, maybe, unless they come back. But Oregon, Washington, how can I feel like it's Oregon's favorite? I think they have a good shot here. What does Washington have to do to win this game?
Well, Washington is going to have to score. I mean, they're going to have to be explosive on offense, and they've got playmakers to do it, right? They're going to have to carry the football. I think, it was a 3-point game in Seattle, October 14th. And I think since that time, Oregon's body of work has been more impressive and more dominant from that loss than Washington's has. Now, neither one of them have lost a game since then. Washington is undefeated. But I do think on a neutral site in Las Vegas, I think Oregon is the better football team right now. I think Bo Nix has a chance to, maybe cement a Heisman Trophy with another stellar performance. And I just think they're a more complete team right now under Dan Lanning, and I like the Ducks in that game.
I agree. I'm going Ducks as well. I think Oregon is, like you said, they've nearly crushed every team they've played here since that Washington game. And Washington has had some close games with some teams that aren't really that great in comparison. So Oregon's not going to lose to Washington twice. I don't see that happening. So we'll take the Ducks. Okay, Big 12, Oklahoma State at Texas. Oklahoma State, you never know what you're going to get. They're going to lose to UCF by 1 million points, or they're going to come out here and beat Oklahoma. So who knows? So Oklahoma State at Texas. I'm going to take the Longhorns. They look really strong right now. I mean, I think Texas could beat a lot of teams, almost any team they played right now, in my opinion. So I'm going Texas.
Yeah, I think Texas is as good as anybody in the country with Quinn Ewers back. And their offense and defensive lines is the best that Texas has had combined in many, many years. So, Oklahoma State, they found their way into the game. They were down 18 at halftime with BYU. They come back when they win in double overtime. Ollie Gordon, 5 touchdown runs, and he's had a magnificent season. But Texas is they're too strong, and they still have a lot to play for. I think the Longhorns win fairly convincingly in that one.
Okay. Yeah, we're on the same page so far. We're both 3 for 3 here. So Miami at Toledo. I'm going Toledo. The little bit that I've kind of kept up with that conference and those teams, the Toledo looks pretty solid, and I'm going Toledo.
Okay. Do you know the conference? Do you know the name of the conference?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was going to let you say it. It's the MAC-WAC All-American.
Mid-American Conference. Yeah. My dad, Ron Blackledge, is a proud alumnus of Bowling Green State University, a member of the MAC. My nephew plays for Kent State, a member of the MAC. Yeah. So these are two fine institutions. I'm going with Toledo. Jason Candle is the coach. He was rumored and he is going to be up for a big job here before too long. He's an outstanding coach. But yeah, I like Toledo in that game. The Rockets over the Red Hawks.
Yeah. I didn't know what the Red Hawks. Okay, I didn't even know what their mascot.
Well, they used to be the Redskins, and they changed that several years ago. And so they went to the Red Hawks, which I don't know if there's an actual hawk that is red or has a red tail. I know there's a red tail hawk, I know,
right,
but not a completely red hawk, I don't think.
I don't think so. So their line, first of all, they could go red-tailed hawks, but that's a little bit cumbersome to say.
Yeah, too much.
Just sort of to Red Hawks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rockets. Yeah, Toledo is going to.
Do you know what the name of the stadium that Toledo plays their home games in? Now, this game will be played at Ford Field in Detroit, but what the name of the stadium where Toledo plays their home games?
Do you think I know that?
Well, it's just quirky, so you're quirky enough that you might have known that.
I don't know that. I don't.
Okay. So Toledo is known for, I'm not sure if it's like manufacturing or glass blowing or something, but their stadium is known as the Glass Bowl.
Oh,
yeah,
that's kind of cool. The Glass Bowl.
So Toledo, Ohio, is somehow known for associated with glass making, glass something.
Yeah,
and so
see, I thought they were just famous.
The Rockets.
So. Yeah, I thought they were famous though for the expression "Holy Toledo." So
it might be too. Who knows?
Yeah, Holy Toledo. Let's move on to Boise State and UNLV. That's the WAC. Is that the WAC?
I think so.
Yeah, I love the WAC. There's a lot of WAC attacks. Boise State.
Mountain West. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, maybe it's Mountain West.
All I do know is that Boise State fired their coach, and they're in the championship game. So because of that, because my dad was a coach, I don't like coaches getting fired. I'm going to go with UNLV. Plus, Barry Odom is an outstanding coach. He was the defensive coordinator at Missouri, took UNLV over. They've been perennially a doormat in college football, and he's got them, with a really good season and playing for a conference championship. So I'll go with the Running Rebels.
All right, Running Rebels. I'm going the same, UNLV. I'm not switching just because you picked them, because I think they're pretty decent. I actually had them in my top 25 at one point for 1 week, and then they dropped out. But UNLV, the Rebels, I always think of the 1991 basketball team or whatever it was. They were
chewing on his towel.
It's
yeah.
The bald guy, he was a trip. They were good back then. Okay, let's go SMU and Tulane. What conference is that?
That's that is the American Athletic Conference.
Yes, AAC. Right, AAC. Yeah. So you want me to pick first on this one?
I'm going to take Tulane. So Tulane, Willie Fritz has done a great job 2 years in a row. Last year, they won their conference. They went to the Cotton Bowl, and they beat USC. This year, they're sitting at 11-1. They're ranked in the top 25. The game is played in New Orleans. Even though SMU is undefeated in the conference and 10-2 overall, I'm going with the Green Wave.
All right, the Green Wave. All right, we finally are disagreeing. I'm going SMU. The were they the horses of some kind of horse? Mustangs.
Yeah.
The Mustangs. Yeah. Which is a car, but So the Mustangs. I'm taking SMU. Do
you have a reason for it, or just
not really? I just have this thing against Tulane. I just don't think they're as good as everybody thinks they are. Obviously they're good. They're 11-1. They're very good. They beat USC last year. I did call that guy, pick that game. I thought I picked them to win that one. I did. I'll find the footage. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
You're later.
You're gonna have to prove that one to me.
Okay. All right. I'll send it to you later. But give me the Mustangs.
Okay.
Over Tulane.
Good.
Okay. In the other small conference, I can't remember, the Appalachian State and Troy. I'm going App State because they're an hour from me, and I like those folks a lot. They're really nice, and they're really good at football. I don't know anything about Troy. I have a friend named Troy, but he's going to lose. App State, the Mountaineers, they win. They're going to win.
All right. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with App State as well. Yeah.
Good choice.
They're close to me too, so I'll go with them.
They are. They're like right in between us, between you and I. Okay, let's go.
And they beat James Madison, so they must be legit because JMU, finished 11-1, and they get to go to a bowl game this year, which is cool. So
good for them. I'm excited that NCAA made that happen. Everybody's pretty mad. They're going to burn that place down if they didn't let JMU go to the bowl game. All right, let's go to the ACC, Louisville and Florida State. I will go first. I'm calling upset. Louisville takes out Florida State. I think that it is going to affect them that they don't have their starting quarterback. Although Tate Rodemaker certainly has done a great job, and I root for a guy like him to be able to succeed. I really do. Louisville coming off that loss to Kentucky, I think they're gonna be up for this game. They're gonna be excited, and I think they've got a good defense, as I've noticed, and so I think they're just gonna get it done. Give me the Cardinals.
Okay. I'm going to go with Florida State. I'm going to just keep riding them on the hopes of a perfect season. They definitely are not the same team without Jordan Travis, but Trey Benson ran for almost 100 yards with 3 touchdowns, and I think they can run the football, and I think they got enough athletes on defense to make a difference in the ball game, and so I'm going to go with Florida State.
Good pick. Good pick. It'll be a fun game to watch. All right, we got 2 left to do. I guess we say the biggest ones possibly. I will go Big Ten, Michigan, and Iowa. I don't know anybody that's out there that's probably going to pick Iowa. It won't be me. I'm taking Michigan all the way. You know, if Iowa beats Michigan, you know, it's going to be 15-11 or some ridiculous score. So yeah, Michigan's too strong. Easy peasy. Michigan wins. I mean, the Big Ten championship was last week. In my opinion, am I right? That was last week. So yeah.
Well, and going forward, there'll be no more East-West divisions in the Big Ten, so it'll just be the 2 best teams playing. So we could conceivably see a rematch of Ohio State and Michigan, or a game that we already saw in the season, but it won't be East and West. Look, Iowa's had a remarkable season.
Yeah.
In fact, they've won 10 games. Their quarterback that started the season transferred from
Michigan.
Right, Cade McNamara, and got hurt in the game that we did against Michigan State. And so they've been playing with, with a backup there. They lost 2 of their best tight ends, and the best offensive weapons Iowa has are their tight ends year in and year out. They lost their top 2 tight ends. 2 weeks ago, they lost their best defensive player and punt returner, Cooper DeJean, but they just keep finding a way to win. They've won 10 games. They've played great defense all year long. Really good in the special teams, got the best punter in the country. But Michigan is a complete team. They're great on defense. They're great on offense. They're solid in the special teams. Michigan wins the game again. And Michigan is a team that is so focused and locked in. And even though they lost Zach Zinner, one of their best, maybe their best offensive linemen, that they're not going to miss a beat on their way to the playoff.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, yeah. It may not be as a blowout like some people may think it could be. Iowa may hang in there. They got a good defense. All right, good stuff. Last game, SEC, huge game, big implications. Georgia and Alabama. I'll go ahead and give you my pick. I'm going Georgia. Again, sort of why pick against the Dogs now when they have won so many games. Alabama seems to be the hottest team in the SEC though, and certainly could win the game, but I'm going Georgia. I'm going to the game. I'm doing I'm doing a comedy set for the University of Georgia.
Oh, of course,
as a pregame. So I have to pick Georgia, and I would pick them anyways. But I'm definitely not going to walk into a auditorium of 1,000 Georgia fans having picked Alabama. So give me the Dogs.
Okay, good pick, safe pick. I'm just gonna just to be different on our last pick of the year. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Alabama, and the only reasoning I can give, and I think Carson Beck has played incredible this season, taking over Stetson, quarterback of Georgia. But I like Milroe's playmaking ability as a passer and a runner, and his ability to extend plays against the defense, and so. I'm gonna go out on a limb, I think, a little bit and pick Alabama in this one. Even still, probably think Georgia is a little better, but now I do know this. I just read this today. Georgia has never beaten Alabama in an SEC championship game. So
no, they have not. They have not. They played two years ago. Alabama beat them in the SEC championship game, but Georgia still went on to win the national title anyways. And then they beat LSU last year. So Alabama's been to the SEC championship 15 times since 1992 or 1, whenever it was they started doing it. Georgia's been 6 times, I think, and most of those more recently. Alabama's been doing it for a long time. We'll see what happens, but going to be an awesome game.
You should you'll love it. It's a great atmosphere there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing. Can't wait. And going to be a good time. So
my good friends, producer Craig Silver and Steve Milton, the director, and Brad Nessler and Gary Daniels said this is the last CBS game covering the SEC.
That's right.
CBS goes to the Big Ten next year, and the SEC goes to ESPN. So it's been a long run for CBS. I was part of that run for 8 years, but I think Craig Silver's been doing it for 28 years. So it'll be kind of, I'm sure it'll be an emotional time for them as well.
Yeah. What a great way to end that tenure with a game as big as this one. It's going to be pretty exciting. Okay. I think I had one more thing I was going to say about that game and I forgot what it was. Oh, this is they're CBS. They are playing a video of mine before the game. So they asked me to make a video that they're going to play, and it's compensated me accordingly to do so. And we'll be playing there at 3:30ish or whatever before the game starts. So
that's great. That's great.
Good. Yeah.
At any point, do you think I may get a little percentage of some of this that you're getting, since I've been like promoting you
right
in our circles? I think it was a little bigger than yours just to begin with. And
yeah. Well, it depends on the circle. I mean, I run in some other circles that you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to go to some of these circles, but this one, all right. When you start promoting me on NBC Sports during your telecast, then I'll start giving you percentage.
I'll try to get you in some Big Ten stuff next year. How's that?
Okay, deal. Let's do it. I would love see. Look, there's a hole in sports comedy in the Big Ten. There's a lot of SEC comedians doing stuff, right? So I'm trying to get more Big Ten stuff going because they deserve a great comedian as well,
right?
And I'm just the guy to do the job, I think. So
we'll see how we get. See how we work.
All right. Well, that's look at this picture.
Yeah.
Yes. What a great photo.
Yeah. That's Mike Robinson, who was a quarterback at Penn State a few years after me, and he's also in our studio show at NBC. And we were on the field together. And actually, you want me to tell you what was so funny?
You look very excited to see him. Yes.
So we were out there together. We're both cracking up because I just finished telling him the story. So Penn State, their guy who kicks off for them, he's not in these pictures. The guy who kicks off for them is named Gabriel Owusu, okay? And he is 6'6", 275 pounds, and he's rocked up. I mean, he is big, right? Yeah. And he's the biggest kicker I've ever seen in my life. So before the game, I'm down on the field, and I go up to this guy because the kickers come out early, and I walk up to him, and I look up, and I say, hey, dude, please tell me when you were in high school, you played something else. You played another position, right? And he apologized. He's like, no, sir, sorry, I didn't. All I did was kick. And so I was telling Michael Robinson that story, that all he did was kick. And we both thought that was the funniest thing in the world, as you can tell by our expressions there. So
that's amazing. What a great photo, though. Whoever captured that, maybe somebody at NBC, but a great photo. Cool story. Love that. Look at that. There you are. Excited. That's how I would like for you to greet me next time we hang out together.
Okay.
I would like a bit of a celebration, if you will. Maybe some arms in the air. Some cheering. Maybe a hug.
Okay.
So let's plan on that.
We can do that. We can do that. Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, I guess that does it for episode 10. That's a milestone. 10 episodes. Look at that. Double digits. Boom. Let's go. Man in Black podcast. We may be back next week. I don't know, for Army Navy game preview and some.
I'm about to be in black here too in my little setup here. So perfect.
You're literally in black.
Segue to black. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening, watching. Todd Blackledge, you're the man.
You're the man.
Okay. See you guys. Bye-bye.